But Dwayne Wade was on the podcast that I just dubbed, to me, the best basketball podcast right now, The Old Man of the Three, hosted by my man JJ Redick. And he was talking about sort of this narrative that the media criticizes players who win championships with player-formed teams, if you will. Like say LeBron, and they were asking him about the Heatles, where it was LeBron, D Wade, and Chris Bosh. They formed their own team. The front office didn't do it. The players did. They teamed up. And how the media sort of looks down upon guys that do that, as opposed to players, all-time like Magic and Larry, who played with guys who the organization put around them.
It just wasn't something that was really the sexy thing to do. And at that moment when we made a decision as players and kind of put the control in the player's hand and change the dynamics of what people were used to, you're always going to get hate. And if you think about it, no one gives backlash to any championships that Larry Bird won, that Magic Johnson won, that Michael Jordan won. Michael Jordan played with other Hall of Famers. You know what I mean? Like, guys, you don't win championships without playing with other guys that are great, first of all. But it wasn't done in the way that LeBron did it, in the way that we did it. It was done from organizations. The organizations made sure that Larry Bird had McHale, Robert Parrish, Dennis Johnson. You know what I mean? Like all these Hall of Famers. And it was, so it was different.
Thank you. Been saying this for a very long time on this show. He talks about guys like Magic, Larry, Michael. Again, the organization put those great players around them. Those great players, great as they were very fortunate to have well-run front offices and general managers, more specifically, to put that great collection of talent around that superstar player. I'm going to criticize LeBron James playing for the horrendously run Cleveland Cavaliers, who at the very end of his time in his first stint in Cleveland, his second best player was Mo Williams. And he won 60 games in back-to-back seasons his last 2 years in his first stint in Cleveland. So I'm going to criticize him that Dan Gilbert can't put one borderline elite player around LeBron. And LeBron's like, man, screw this. I want to go play with a well-run franchise in the Miami Heat. I want to go play for a franchise run by Pat Riley with my good buddy Dwyane Wade. It never ceases to amaze me how so many people, not all, but so many people in the basketball media with sort of the past great players, Magic, Larry, Michael, even guys going back like, Dr. J, how we just skim over and completely ignore some of the flaws in their careers. Okay, Larry Bird in his first NBA Finals in 1981 had back-to-back games where he did not score double figures. He scored 8 points. Cedric, not Larry Bird, Cedric Cornbread Maxwell, because Larry Bird scored 8 points in 2 straight games. Nobody brings that up. Okay, Magic Johnson had a finals. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it was 1984. Magic Johnson had a finals where he was so bad, the newspapers at that time in Los Angeles called him Tragic Johnson. It didn't get much worse than that. We don't talk about it. Michael Jordan, until he got Scottie Pippen, Michael Jordan, greatest player ever, was 1-9 in the playoffs until the Bulls drafted Scottie Pippen. 1-9. And people forget, people in the media, anytime guys like LeBron or Steph or Giannis, guys like that, win a championship, people always like to throw that little asterisk in, right? Like when the Warriors won in 2015, well, they did against a beat-up Cavs team. Or when the Lakers won the championship in 2020, well, it's because they were in the bubble. It's always an excuse that some people will try to throw out there. Could we remember the fact that in 1991, Michael Jordan's first NBA Finals, that right off the bat, James Worthy got hurt for the Lakers, and so it was basically Magic by himself? That the Bulls were playing an incredibly inferior, Los Angeles Lakers team? We're just going to completely ignore that. Never happened. that's something I think too that Dwyane Wade was alluding to, is like we act like some of these great players, and it doesn't take away from their greatness. All the things I mentioned about Bird, Magic, Michael, it doesn't take away from their greatness. The flaws that they had in their career, the downside that they had in their career. Matter of fact, it adds to it because they bounce back from it. That adds to your greatness. But just because LeBron goes from crappy run Cleveland to great Miami, oh, he's disqualified from, the GOAT debate. That doesn't make any sense. If anything, I think it's actually kind of a compliment to the players that they themselves put together this group that won a championship, right? They won 2 championships in Miami. Steph Curry recruited Kevin Durant, and they won 2 championships together and made a third finals. Why is that looked at as a bad thing? I swear to you, I have never understood that as long as I've lived, as long as I've watched basketball. I think Dwyane Wade hits the nail on the head. We act like the great players never made a mistake. We see the highlight reels. They never missed a shot. They never missed a defensive assignment. They never had a bad game or 2 or 3. Crap, it happens. They're human. Doesn't mean they're not great. But we take away from guys like the Stephs, like the LeBrons, like the Giannis's. Even they would take away from Kobe back in the day. I'm telling you, I don't get it. I really don't. It's that has never made sense to me, that just because guys either invite other great players to join them, or they join a great team, a well-run team, after playing for a poorly run team, we criticize them for that. I've always used examples. Say you are working somewhere and you're really, really talented at what you do. Maybe you're one of the higher ups of the company, but it's, the upper management isn't very good. Maybe you're not a fan of your boss, and you go to a company where you get to flourish more and where the company is better run. And we're going to criticize you for that. We're going to say, oh, that hurts your legacy as a businessman or as a businesswoman. That hurts your legacy, right? Like, we're going to knock for that. No, nobody would do that. But we do it in the NBA. And by the way, these are, 20-something, 30-something-year-old, guys who, unlike somebody in business, depending on what your business is, of course, but you can be successful for decades and decades and decades. Father Time is undefeated, although he's having one heck of a battle with Tom Brady, but he'll eventually come out on top. Everybody lose their athleticism. You lose it, I lose it. It's one of the depressing parts about life, right? But it's the reality. These guys only have so long, especially in their primes, the primes of their career, to win. And to me, I actually admire these guys that they're not. I mean, LeBron could have easily sat back in Cleveland and said, you know what? These guys, Cleveland can pay me more than Miami. I can make more money in Cleveland. I'll have a lesser chance to win championships, but I can make more money. It's comfortable. I'm the man. He said, nah, screw that. I'll take the public backlash if it means I get some jewelry. If it means I get to win some championships, I'll take that. I respect LeBron for that. Absolutely. I respected Kevin Durant for leaving Oklahoma City, who pampered Westbrook. And he said, no, I know what the backlash is going to be, and I'm going to go to Golden State. No, we kind of fell apart in the end in Golden State, but Katie said, I want to win. Screw the money, screw that. I want to win championships. I love guys who do that. Like, that's why I've kind of been like, what's Bradley Beal doing in Washington? Like, hey, get your money. You could still make a ton of money in Miami. No state taxes, Miami too, by the way. Like, I just don't get why we criticize the guys who are willing to do anything and everything to win. And we knock them for teaming up with other great players. Every great player who's ever won a championship had help, had great players around them. Magic had not just James Worthy. He had frickin' Kareem Abdul-Jabbar for all 5 of his championships. Kareem, before he joined or got traded to the Lakers, had Oscar Robertson. Jerry West had Wilt. Hakeem Olajuwon had Clyde Drexler. Steph Curry's had Klay Thompson and Kevin Durant. LeBron has had Wade, Bosh, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Love, Anthony Davis. You think about guys like Kobe had Shaquille O'Neal, and then he had Pau Gasol. He had Derek Fisher. Like you need great players to win a championship, believe it or not. Like the fact that we, we act like, Magic and Larry and Michael and these former players, like, climbed Mount Everest, by themselves, no hydration, no this, no that, to win the championship. And these guys are just pampered, and they don't, they don't like the adversity. It's like, well, Larry did have Kevin McHale and Robert Parrish, and Michael did have Scottie Pippen, and at the end, Dennis Rodman, and he had Phil Jackson, the greatest coach ever, and Magic Johnson, and Kareem, and James Worthy, and Byron Scott on defense. Like, why do we knock these guys now for something that we don't knock the guys from the past? I've never understood that. Is it because some of the media are stuck in the past? Maybe. But I swear to you, it does not make sense to me. I've never understood it. And I can't say I ever will understand it, just because of the hypocrisy, the blatant hypocrisy behind it. Thanks so much for watching the show on YouTube. Be sure to click that big red subscribe button and go check out the other clips and full shows of Carving It Up Live. Have a blessed day.